The citizenship bill that has been sent back to the House of Representatives for reconsideration by the President requires adherence to the routine process in the Parliament. The government has to table the bill in the Parliament once again. However, with the approaching provincial and parliamentary elections, the fate of the much talked of bill remains uncertain. Good morning, I'm Abheudaya Shrestha, and these are the headlines of the hour. Parliament Speaker holds consultations with the government on the return of the citizenship bill by the President. Parties divided on the President's move. The politics in waste management of the Kathmandu Valley remains unchanged. Kathmandu metropolis fails to find a sustainable solution. Deputy President William Ruto declared the winner of Kenya's presidential election amid dramatic scenes, narrowly defeats his rival Raila Odinga. And FIFA suspends the All India Football Federation with immediate effect due to undue influence from third parties. Under-17 Women's World Cup scheduled to take place in India in October affected. Questions have surfaced regarding the decision of President Bidya Devi Bhandari and the upcoming procedures after she returned the amendment bill for the citizenship endorsed by the Parliament. The political gambits for the endorsement of the bill, related disputes, and reason for the President returning the bill after holding it for 15 days have drawn criticisms. President Bhandari on Sunday evening returned the amended citizenship bill, which was endorsed by both houses of the Parliament. Constitutional and political questions have surfaced over this move of the President. Members of the ruling parties have raised political and ethical questions, while the main opposition, CPN-UML, has welcomed the President's move. The citizenship bill was controversial ever since procedures were initially started and was stranded for 4 years at the Parliament's State Management Committee. Political parties had their own interests regarding some of the provisions for citizenship. The bill was presented at the Parliament after the provision of citizenship for a foreign daughter-in-law after a minimum of 7 years was endorsed with majority vote. However, the bill was then halted at the House of Representatives for more than a year. Following the formation of the coalition government, the bill was withdrawn and replaced with revisions. The revised bill had erased the provision of 7 years and was endorsed with majority votes amidst the protest of CPN-UML. Now, the President's return of the bill is being seen as a political move. Interest is now centered on the next procedure. The government has to follow the previous procedure at both the upper and lower houses. The President will not be able to return the revised bill presented for certification. With the provincial and parliamentary elections drawing close, whether the government will follow the required procedures again or the term of the Parliament will end without revisions in the bill depends on political priorities of the government and the parties. 7 years after the promulgation of the Constitution of Nepal, the House of Representatives made changes in the laws related to citizenship on the basis of majority and minority votes. However, the laws were not certified by President Bidya Devi Bhandari. The then King Birendra Shah had also withdrawn the bill during the revision of laws related to citizenship, first developed around 70 years ago. Despite the largest party of the Parliament, CPN-UML, being in the opposition, the bill related to amendment of citizenship laws was endorsed with majority votes. Political parties and governments have been imposing their interests on the citizenship-related laws. Now that President Bhandari has returned the bill, the ruling coalition has alleged the President of politicizing the law. The Constitution categorized the natures of citizenship 60 years ago. Since then, the Citizenship Act has been revised on several occasions in Nepal. The provision where a foreign woman would receive a Nepali citizenship certificate 5 years after marrying a Nepali citizen was developed 47 years ago. The Constitution of 1990 introduced a new provision, and efforts were made to amend the Citizenship Act 10 years later on the basis of recommendations of several committees. However, then King Birendra Shah had also returned the act with special interest on the arrangement for naturalized citizenship without certifying it. The current bill has arranged for providing citizenship by descent to the children of those who had received citizenship by birth. Based on the data of the Ministry of Home Affairs, if the bill was certified, around 190,000 would have received their citizenship by descent. Meanwhile, there are grievances on the absence of a certain time period for providing citizenship to a foreign woman marrying a Nepali citizen. Experts are of the opinion that there are external interests regarding Nepal's provision for naturalized citizenship. But former judicial figures term such assessments faulty. Actual Nepali citizens have been denied their citizenship for years because of parties and governments politicizing the sensitive issue. More than 2 months have passed since the last time the waste of Kathmandu Valley was regularly collected. Efforts of the Kathmandu metropolis for the long-term management of the valley's waste have yet to produce expected results. In such a situation, Kathmandu Mayor Balendra Shah has alleged the federal government of creating obstacles and politicizing the issue of waste management. The issue of waste management has existed in the Kathmandu Valley for more than 3 decades. Many have also been elected the mayor of the metropolis by prioritizing the issue in their agenda. However, instead of the problem being resolved, it has further intensified. Kathmandu Mayor Shah had expressed the commitment of starting other works only after addressing the perennial issue of the valley's waste crisis. However, instead of making any progress, Shah has been airing statements against the political parties. Sharing a statement of the political parties of the landfill site affected areas in his social media, Shah has said that such politics did not take anyone ahead. However, in addition to political complications, the persisting waste crisis has been attributed to the failure in implementing the past agreements with the local residents of affected areas and lack of efforts for finding long-term solutions. The government and Kathmandu metropolis have held talks with the leaders of affected areas on 174 occasions. Upon his election as Kathmandu mayor, Shah had reached Bancharedana to make his assurances to the local residents of the landfill site in Bancharedana even before assuming his office. In addition to that, he had signed an 18-point agreement to address issues including the foul smell caused by waste in Sistol and Bancharedana on 9th of June. However, the agreement is yet to be implemented. Previous office bearers of the metropolis have said that the issues have further intensified because of mismanagement of the leadership. Of the 12,000 tons of daily waste of the valley, half of it comes from the Kathmandu metropolis. The metropolis has allocated 5 billion rupees for the management of waste. The metropolis, which has shouldered the responsibility of the waste of all 18 local levels of the valley, however, has not paid any attention to the scientific management of waste. Despite 84 projects of 1,553 megawatt capacity signing purchase agreement with the Nepal Electricity Authority, they are yet to begin construction works. 33 such projects have already crossed the deadline for their operation. Even in such a situation, the government is yet to create a conducive environment and has not been able to scrap the licenses. More than 4 years have passed since the government had introduced its objective of producing additional 15,000 megawatts of electricity in 10 years. The aim was to sell 5,000 megawatts of electricity in the foreign market. However, only 1,116 megawatts of electricity was added in the period of 4 years. 84 projects that had taken the license from the Nepal Electricity Authority and signed the purchase agreement have yet to begin construction works. Based on the electricity purchase agreement, construction works must begin within 2 years. However, there are no set provisions regarding the progress targets. Projects that should have come into operation 6 years ago are yet to conclude their construction works. Experts suggest taking actions against the projects that have failed in meeting the deadline. In addition to obstructions for the government in meeting its target, the trend of holding the licenses and leaving the projects stranded also raises questions on the commitment of the private sector. The Nepal Electricity Authority generated 4 billion rupees in revenue after selling electricity in the Indian market. With the projects holding their licenses and causing delays in completion has affected the national revenue. It has also led to the nation importing electricity because of lower supply during the winter season. In our Public Voice segment, we had asked people in several provinces what they think of the trend of leaders reaching out to the center for tickets for the upcoming provincial and parliamentary elections. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public voice.
यो प्रवृत्तिलाई त घुसखोरी प्रवृत्ति जो भन्छु म
गाउँघरबाट घुमेर गएको नेतालाई नै दिन पर्ने जस्तो लाग्छ
जनता एकतिर छ नेताहरू केन्द्रमुखी छन्
जो अगाडि पछाडी छेउछाउमा छ उहाँहरूलाई टिकट दिनु भन्दा पनि राम्रो मान्छेलाई टिकट दिनु
पार्टीका प्रत्येक कार्यकर्ता साथीहरूले गाउँघरबाट यसको विरोधमा चाहिँ आवाज उठाउनु पर्दछ
योग्य मान्छेलाई टिकट दिनुपर्छ
जनताले चाहेको व्यक्ति र अब पार्टीले टिकट दिएको व्यक्तिमा अलिकति फरक चाहिँ पर्छ
केन्द्रमा गएर टिकट ल्याउने टिकट ल्याउन धाउने दौडधुप गर्ने भनेको चाहिँ यो वास्तवमा गलत हो
विषय राख्ने कुरा त्यो कुरा भन्ने कुरा मलाई लाग्छ त्यो स्वाभाविक हो
जसले जति पैसा दिन्छ त्यसलाई टिकट दिन्छ जसले कमजोर पार्टी छ त्यसलाई दिँदैन
It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Here's the question. Why has the government hesitated in providing compensation to farmers affected by bird flu? Your options are A, legal complications, B, procedural hassles, and C, lack of pressure. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B, or C, and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us.
Sports News.
Preparations are underway to build additional infrastructures of the Ministry of Youth and Sports and the National Sports Council at the under-construction cricket ground in Mulpani, Kathmandu. According to plans, a well-facilitated hostel for athletes, boxing hall, and international standard covered hall for volleyball are to be built near the cricket ground. Mulpani, which once used to be a location for management of Kathmandu's waste, is likely to develop as a sporting hub of the country following completion of these infrastructures. Works of construction of a hostel for athletes and boxing hall are to begin this year. The National Sports Council's international standard covered hall for volleyball is also to be built at Mulpani. Located at a distance of 8 kilometers from Kathmandu metropolis, Mulpani and the neighboring area have been considered an appropriate location for the construction of sports infrastructures. 25 years ago, the construction site in Mulpani was used for waste management and therefore was not preferred for human settlement. However, the government decided to relocate the dumping site and build 2 cricket grounds, which changed the face of the area. The upper ground in Mulpani is under the Cricket Association of Nepal, while the lower ground is under the National Sports Council. The new infrastructures will be constructed around these grounds. The stakeholders, including the local residents, are enthused with the decision for the construction of sports infrastructures. Building sports infrastructures is a good move and contributes to the growth of athletes. However, it is imperative to consider the suggestions of the local residents while constructing such infrastructures, as well as such infrastructures create direct and indirect impacts on the lives of the local residents. And that's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.